You know, most of the buildings are just buildings. There's no spirit to them. You know, architecture should lift your spirits. You know, it should give a sense of awe and wonder. You know, when you think about the most important moments in your life, it usually revolves around a place, and you can identify that place. And most of those places are architecture. Growing up in rural Arkansas really set me on a career path to architecture. You know, the barns, the creeks, the trails, the timber, everything that we built forts, the native materials and the native feel of Arkansas. I don't know if I could practice anywhere else and enjoy it as much as I do, because it's who I am. So we spent about a year diving into their story, what they do, how they feed people, and how they not only give them an animal, they don't kill the animal and eat it, they learn to use the byproducts of that animal to sell, to feed their children, and their covenant is to the first offspring of that animal is given to another family. And it creates these concentric rings of influence that spread throughout a village, throughout a countryside. And so sketching and working on that project just came up with this idea of how do we display these concentric rings across a site, and how this building should just be one small part of a broader circle. And so when you can tell an incredible story like that, that building got national recognition, but it wasn't just for the architecture, it was for the story of what they do and who they are. Each building generates its own story and its own style, and but the common theme through all of those is the Arkansas materials and the Arkansas colors and textures. The thing I want to stress is it's not me doing all this, it's us. It's our team here. I lead the charge on the design of it all, but everybody has to be just as passionate about it. You don't do it necessarily for the money. You do it for the passion and the love of what you do. And that's the way it really should be in any profession. There's a lot easier ways to make money than architecture, but I fell in love with it, and it's the only thing I could ever do or ever want to do. You know, my kids, they could care less about these awards and the things that the recognition brings. They want my time and they want my attention, as it should be. But for them, one day I'll be gone and the buildings will still be here, and they'll have those memories and those moments of, well, maybe Dad did something decent. There's more meaning in that than anything I do.
Well, if people don't know who Art Porter Jr. and Art Porter Sr. are, they must be living under a rock because their legacies are widespread and extend well beyond Little Rock and Arkansas.
Well, my dad was a homebody. I mean, he loved Arkansas. He had many offers to move out of the state, but he loved Arkansas. He loved raising his family at home.
After Art passed in '93, Art Jr. and his mom and Art's wife, Barbie, decided they wanted to really memorialize the legacy of Art Sr. And so they came up with the idea of having the Art Porter Music Education. It was instituted with the idea that we would provide scholarship and support for students who were interested in majoring in music education, with the idea that at some point after they finished, they would also provide some community service to wherever they might be, but hopefully here in Arkansas.
We now have an expanded agenda that not only includes scholarships, but also programs for elementary school age kids called Little MCs. And what we do is we teach them public speaking. We give them opportunities to showcase their public speaking skills. They MC a lot of our shows. Sometimes we have them performing with the Art Porter Singers.
Can we get another hand for the high voltage?
Minors in music, we have workshops for them. Some of our recording artists that come to town, they come in and they spend time with our minors in music students and teach them, you know, skills to help them to enhance what they already know and to take their skills to the next level for those that want to do it, you know, as a career.
And when you think about the love, passion, and commitment they had for not just music, but for their community, and young people in particular, it's amazing to know that we can still be here today and celebrate their gifts.
I love the idea that we can promote and maintain the legacy of someone who meant so much to this community. It's personal for me. Because if it had not been personal, I probably would have stopped a long time ago. I mean, it's truly personal. And I think it's a valuable work that we're doing.
My father always said that his gifts were God-given. And the legacy that he leaves is that you share your gifts with others. And I think that's what the common thread between the way my dad lived his life and what I'm supposed to be doing to be sure that his legacy is taken forward.
We just have always felt like that we were given a lot. We were blessed in so many ways, and that when you are and when you're able to, then you help others in whatever way it is with your giving. And with the Walton Arts Center, I think that's when Northwest Arkansas really came together as Northwest Arkansas instead of all these 4, 5, 6 individual towns that we had. That it was the time that I saw when everybody joined together and said, we can have this in our area by building the Walton Arts Center. And look at what we did. And they came to see me. And Bill Mitchell pulled out this sheet of paper. He said, we want to be able to bring the children from the schools all out in the area. We want to be able to bring those children to the Walton Arts Center, to plays and the different things we have there. But we need funding to make that happen for the buses to come from all these rural schools and even this area. And so he read this, and it said something like, the world's largest transportation company transporting our most precious cargo. And I said, that's it. And so with it, we give $20,000 a year, and we transport those children to the Walton Arts Center. And I can't think of anything that I'd rather be a part of than to doing that. And then when the AMP came along, and they came to us because we do have the land, and said, you have the very spot we need to put this on. And when we think about it, it is at the center of the area, more or less. And we did have that land so close to the freeway, and everything about it just fit. It was just right, and it was, yes, this is where it needs to be. We gave them the land, and then also made a loan to them because they needed more. And so I said, okay, I'll make this loan interest-free, and you don't have to pay this loan back until you've paid off everything else. And it has been amazing. When you see the crowds over there that I can look out my window, and I just stand up here and I'm just amazed. It just makes me smile because I see the lines of people that are so excited about going to a concert. And I go to the concerts, and it's not always even my kind of music because I'm a little old for some of them that are there. And I stand up and I look all around and I think, look at all these people that are here tonight and how much fun they're having and how excited they are. And that we have a place that they can come to for that. So I don't know when I'll ever get paid anything back on the loan, but you know something, everybody's having a good time when they go over there for concerts, so I'm just happy with what I did. I enjoy the part that I'm able to give something for others to enjoy. And it doesn't always have to be something that I have a passion for, but it's just knowing that other people are being exposed to these things that I never really was so much as they will be for our future. And I think that's what it's all about every day, is what we're doing for our children for the future that counts.
My goal is really to recognize the genealogy and history of the White River Valley of the Ozarks, which is one of the oldest places west of the Mississippi that is still in existence. And I just hope that people can realize the rich history that we have. I hope for this area of Arkansas to become a tourist area of history that exposes a side that people don't see of us. In 2002, my daughter Nikki died. She was 19 years old. Instead of flowers, we asked people to make donations, and we started the Nikki Lee Atwill Foundation. So I went into doing the more community projects in her name. We did the Mountain Music Project, identifying local musicians and the history of the music that is here. I realized that we needed something that had greater outreach, and so doing the historic driving tour recognizes actual locations that are here that people can see. It's basically preserving history, but doing it in a way that will bring tourism into the area as well as recognize the local families. My goal is for this part of the state, Stone County, this area around Stone, Izard, Independence, to become the Lancashire County of Pennsylvania, where you go into Amish country and the whole county is it's just amazing, the history, for people to come here. You know, this is just an incredible little location right here, and I hope that the work that I do to bring that to fruition is what's remembered, and the pride and rich history that people have here, and that it's justified, that people have that legacy. Each and every family that's been here made this the kind of place to live that it is.
We are over 100 years old. The firm was established around 1900. It's a full-service law firm.
We do almost everything. We have corporate practice, business litigation, labor employment, governmental relations. We have about 68 lawyers, I think, now in Little Rock and Northwest Arkansas. Supporting the arts is important to our firm because while the way we spend most of our days is engaged in the practice of law, the firm has made giving back to the community that we work in and serve a priority. And a big part of that is doing what we can to encourage and foster quality of life in the community, and arts is a huge part of that in our mind.
I remember the first time I wanted to do something theatrical, and I was worried as a young pup lawyer that I wouldn't be able to continue to do that. And this firm was always, even when I was a young associate, behind me and allowing me to go out and do stuff at the Weekend Theater, at the Rep, which has a very intense, demanding rehearsal schedule that includes day rehearsals. The firm was always behind me to do that, and that meant so much, knowing that I could continue to do something that made me a whole person.
Wright, Lindsay & Jennings has been a sponsor of the Writers in the Schools initiative in partnership with CALS and the Literary Festival for 7 years. And the hard work is done by the folks at CALS and the volunteers for the festival. But what the initiative did was bring a number of national, international writers to Central Arkansas schools. and also donated books to the students so that they could be prepared to engage with these writers, illustrators, photographers who come to their schools. So they read the materials before and then personally engage with the writers at their own schools.
This firm, to me, has a unique personality, and the lawyers that continue to be hired and part of this family, the personalities are similar. It's just we've attracted a group of lawyers that the arts community is important to, and I think it's just a part of this firm personality, and I don't think it will ever change.
One of my first dates with Barbara, I packed a picnic lunch and we went to the art museum in Fort Worth. And she was flabbergasted that I knew a little bit about art. I would take it to a place like this.
Well, we spent 8 months traveling and looking for a place to live, to retire to. And finally got back to the Dallas area and started looking in the paper and found that there were lots of places in southwestern Arkansas where we had been backpacking and canoeing for 30 years. Saw something in the paper about a group of artists meeting, and at that time they were meeting in the firehouse, I think every other month. And we decided to go to a meeting and got hooked.
We took them over.
I think it's always of value to a community to have access to artwork. We do about 12 shows a year here, give or take a little. And most of them are all local artists. And we both decided to run with this idea about a national juried painting competition. So this will be the 3rd year that we've done that.
We're actually the instigators of that particular competition, and we made a significant financial commitment to it. And it's kind of on its own right now. It's paying for itself.
Almost.
Almost.
The occasional show that we've done in the past featuring professional artists, I think that's something that would not be available to this community otherwise. Lots of different people here have given classes in whatever medium they're familiar with. We're beginning to get more and more businesses along this couple of blocks here that in some fashion or another touch the arts. And we're trying to develop it as the Mena Arts District. I think we're sort of a best kept secret. I think this gallery has a lot to offer the town and the area.
We bring in people in all these shows that would not have participated otherwise. So it brings the community together, and that's important to us.
My name is Max Elbow. I was born in Miami Beach. My birth name was Donald Stephen Forsyth. When I came to Eureka in 1975, I changed it to Max Elbow. When I did posters in Detroit in the 60s, I signed posters a different name every time, just because I thought it was amusing. There was an art class in school. It was one of the subjects. It had Irish nuns, Sisters of Mercy, and they had never been to the United States before they came to South Florida to start their school. And they all spoke Gaelic. So art was one of the things I could do. I couldn't speak Latin, I couldn't do mathematics, but I could draw some.
The artist Max Elbow has observed Eureka Springs and its people. Through his work, he has magnificently given back the town's grand spirit. Max Elbow is a humble, gentle man and the world's best graphic artist, period.
In the film that she made about you, she said that you were the greatest graphic artist ever.
Yeah, I know.
Do you ever think of yourself that way? What do words like that mean to you?
I don't. That's terribly embarrassing. I'm not even the greatest in Eureka, probably. I mean, it's such a subjective thing. It's like an art contest. Somebody's always going to win, but what makes that the best? I would work 16 hours in a day back when I was working. Well, I kind of ignored the business side. I always had zero overhead almost. People had a room they didn't need that had some kind of heat. A small space would be fine. And people, when I came here, people were very supportive. But I was always drawing my own thing and trying to find a customer. It's always been about the doing of the thing. I just wanted to get by and draw. I'm delighted. I'm delighted for the town and for the people who support me. I really am. It's terrific.
Why do you think that the arts in general are important?
Because there's a lot of kids who can't speak Latin or do mathematics. They got to do something.
I always assumed that all art is priceless, even kids' art. And if you approach it from that standpoint, you get over the dollars. It took me actually a long time to realize it, but I know I have a strong caregiver component to my personality as far as my family and friends, and my job at the Art Center was caregiver for the collection and the people involved. So it was just an unusual but perfect fit. It's extraordinary. The quality of what the Art Center has put together is phenomenal. And today, there are over 4,500 drawings in the collection. Everything about the way I've always worked is sort of like I disregard the rules, I make up my own, or I don't care about the instructions, or whatever. I've done it my way. Well, my creative world, I guess, really began in my childhood. I started piano when I was 8 years old, and I studied through 3 years of college. But then painting entered the picture, and painting was my first focus, but I really liked working with clay. And so I focused on that for a little while. Then I fell into enamel and cloisonné enamel for almost 20 years. And then I transitioned to working on paper because I worked with the drawing collection. And I focused on works on paper with watercolor and watercolor crayons and water media, gesso and gouache and layering and all of that. And that's what I'm currently working on. And I would work at the Art Center, I would come home and I would work until I made myself go to bed. And I realized that, many artists work with discipline every day in the studio. They have a regular schedule and they're in the studio and they're producing Well, I had a full-time job, and then I was trying to make art as well. And I beat myself up for a while, and then I finally realized, no, I'm working visually and mentally every day. I'm taking in information. It's coming in from all sides. And I reach a point where I need to release some of that information. And it comes out almost like an out-of-body experience. You know, that was one thing about working in a museum that was so attractive to me. It is a nonprofit world, and they mean it seriously when they're talking about salaries and money and all of that kind of thing. But there's more to life than that. And I feel very fortunate that I found a world where I could have passion and care about what I did. Everything about my life, I think, has been creative, and I think my approach to dealing with the collection at the Art Center and with the staff and with the major patrons and artists that we, dealt with over the years, I think that's creative as well. So, it's just kind of a magic world. I've been real fortunate, I think.